Hi, welcome to Azariah's Fiber Arts. My name is Sarah, and I am the artist and designer behind Azariah's Fiber Arts. Hit the like or subscribe button anytime while you're watching. All right, let's get into it. I want to talk to you about worsted spun yarn. Not worsted weight yarn, but worsted spun yarn. And this is how the yarn is made from fiber. So woolen spun, link is in the description. That we've already covered that. This one is worsted. Worsted is smooth yarn. It's not puffy. It's not going to hold a lot of air. It's going to shed water pretty quickly. It's also probably not going to be very warm. In my experience, they're usually thinner. I'm sure there are other worsted spun yarns that are heavier in weight. And what I mean by weight is like if it's a DK or a worsted. In my life, they are all lace weight. Everything I've spun and everything I've bought. I don't have any store-bought, commercially spun worsted at the moment. I have these guys. So this here is worsted spun. See how tight and smooth that is? It's not puffy at all. Okay, there's quite a bit of it on here. I'm spinning it from this, which is 50-50 yak and silk blend. So it is very fine. It is very soft. This has a lot of air in it. So this is technically what we call a semi-worsted, which the majority of homespun worsted yarns are going to be semi-worsted. Not all, the majority of. And the reason it's a semi-worsted is because this is not top. Combed top is traditionally what a worsted spun yarn is made from. This is roving that was made in a mill and comes in big fluffy thing. Like I can't even get it on the camera because after you get it, it comes in a nice braid that looks like this. And then when you undo the braid, which is just a giant crochet chain, but it's still really cool, it looks like this. Okay, so this is a semi-worsted technically. This one, some people would really pick nits with me with this one about calling it a worsted at all, but you see there's no memory here. There's no spring. Let me rephrase that. There's no spring here. You see that? Which is another worsted. And after you see towards further in the video, me spinning the worsted compared to the woolen spun, you'll understand why there's just no give. Does not make it that much more difficult to knit with, however. Okay, so the reason why people would argue with me on this one, and this is a 2-ply. It is hand spun on my wheel. And then I plied it, just 2 plies. Is because, so when it came to me, it looked like this. I got it off of Etsy. And it's Clun Forest Roving from Boulder, Colorado. So after I got it as roving, okay, so it's already roving, so that's what makes it a semi. But after that, I dyed it. And because it's Clun Forest, usually it's too thick to do as a lace weight. I am very pleased with how it's done as a lace weight. It is a little crunchy, is the best way I can describe it. Even though it doesn't have spring in it, there's still some energy in this yarn, and it's crunchy is just the best way I can describe it. Knitting with it went fine. Here's the finished piece. And I am so very happy with this shawl. I'm happy with the way it came out. Yes, it is long. It is very long shawl, but this is all I have left of my yarn, and that was the goal. I could have gone wider, but that's a whole other story. We're getting off topic. Okay. So this is still a worsted spun in the way that I did it. So worsted spun is little tiny increments at a time. All right, so to be a true worsted spun. All right, so to be a true worsted spun yarn, it has to be combed top. These are combs. They look like medieval torture devices. They are very sharp. You have to be extremely careful. I do not have small children in this house. I have dogs, and I have random people, not too random, but I have people that come over and stuff. These sit up on a high shelf where nobody's going to accidentally get them. Okay, so the way we do it now is this one gets mounted to the end of a table. So this part, so from here forward would be hanging off the table, and fiber gets dressed on here. Okay, this fiber has not been through a drum carder. This is locks. Locks look like this. Still very organized, still very held together, and you put like olive cut ends or olive tip ends, but you never mix. True worsted is going to be spun in the same direction. There are purists out there who will make sure that they are spinning in the way that is smoothing the scales down. So they are going cut end into the orifice first. Okay? And they have put a lot of thought into how they process their fiber. So after it's hung on here, then this one combs it off. Okay, just straightens it out. It's still not mixed. The ends are still not changed or nothing like that, okay? This part of the process is to get rid of anything that's short or shorter and extra dirt and things like that. You can lose as much up to as much as 40% of your fiber in this process. And this is already after you have skirted and washed your fleece, which in that process you usually lose 25 to 40% there weight-wise. All right, so it's all smoothed out and pretty. Then you get a diz. A diz can be just about anything. It can be a button. It just has to have holes in it. So bigger holes, fatter yarn possibility, okay? Your finished unplied yarn will not be any thicker than what you diz out. So I would usually use the smallest one, because if I've gone through this much work, I want really nice, fine, thin yarn. So get a crochet hook or something and you pull part of it through and it comes off. It's an amazing thing to watch. It takes practice. And you end up with this light, fluffy nest of fiber. And then that fiber gets spun into this worsted spun yarn. Okay? Worsted spun yarn is a lot more processing. These, processing and preparation. This job was actually a man's job back in medieval times and coming through until just before and around the Industrial Revolution. And they were much bigger and much heavier than this. And they didn't mount them to a table. They used them in their hands. So their arms, especially their forearms, were extremely strong and very beefy. I'm going to show you this. And this is what I'm spinning in the spinning part of this video. So this is labeled as merino sliver. So it's 100% merino. What makes sliver different than top? I think it's a regional thing. I think it's all the same thing. If it's not all the same thing, then I'll come back and tell you what's different, but I'm pretty sure it's all the same thing. And you can see how nice everything is laying. Let's bring this guy over here. This lays nice, but you can still see how that pulled across there. It's not as organized as this is. So this white will make a true worsted spun. Whereas this purple, it's never going to be more than a semi worsted. All right, so let's take this to the wheel and check it out. So here's that sliver. And I am going to be doing worsted spinning. You see that the fiber is a lot thinner. The strand going in. This guy's going a lot faster compared to the woolen spun video. I have it on the fastest ratio that I have available, which is either 40:1 or 60:1. I do not remember, and I didn't look it up. I did look up sliver, and sliver is not the same as top. Sliver is still like a step somewhere between top and roving. Roving evidently has a small amount of twist in it, not like spinning twist, like the entire length has a small amount of twist in it, which that actually made some sense to me, as I have tried to spin off of a length of roving and things get a little interesting at some points. Sliver does not have that. It lays completely flat, which could also be part of the reason why it looked more organized than the roving did. I'll move a little bit so you can see what's going on here. Very short, small inchworm movements, lots of twist. All right, worsted spun yarn, not to be confused with worsted weight. They are nothing alike. I have put some links in the descriptions of commercially available worsted spun yarns so that you can hopefully go pet some for yourself. If this tutorial was helpful for you, please hit the like button. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching. If you have more questions, you're welcome to leave a comment below or email me, Sarah@azariasfiberarts.com. Happy making!